Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. So, the intro montage for this episode was getting some of the foundational work done to finish this exhaust. So I went ahead and built that hanger bracket up there that you guys can see in frame there. And I got the tip squared away for the muffler. Now, I know I talked initially about doing dual tips on this, but the more that I looked at how everything kind of fits around the bumper and all of that, I don't want to cut anything off of the bumper, and I just don't have enough room to run dual tips. So I opted to expand out from 3" to 3.5, a nice 3.5" tip, and everything looks good, everything looks cool, and that's what we're going to go with. So the muffler is all welded as far as the tip is concerned. And now I need to build the stainless hanger rods that come off of the bracket that the titanium hanger rods will tie into through the actual hanger itself. So I went ahead and bent this piece, at least initially right here. So I bent this just in my hydraulic press. It's a quick, easy way to do it. And I'll go ahead and cut this off probably the same length that this side is on this side, so I have kind of a mirror image, and then from there I can trim and tailor fit and make this all work out the way that I want it to. Well, the muffler, the Mark II, is located. I have the hanger pretty well figured out. All that is left to do at this point in time is to tack the hanger to the muffler and then drop it out so I can finish weld it. But this is what we're looking at. And let's see if I can block the light off there. The muffler has a slight out and up angle, which that's what I like for any JDM car. I think it's a really cool, really timeless look, and I wanted to incorporate it in the exhaust build for this car. So most importantly, we have clearance to chassis members, the clearance to the fuel tank. You can see where my middle finger is there is adequate. The clearance to, I think, the spare tire well is adequate. And as far as the hanger is concerned, I just have a bar that's going across the top of the tip. And then I'll get some other bars and tie it into some other locations on the muffler. So that will be plenty strong, and having two hangers in the back like this will help prevent any unwanted movement from happening with the exhaust on this thing. So let me roll the welder over, and this will be kind of tricky to get in here to do these tacks, but it's what needs to be done, so I guess I'll have to do it. Well, I put an idea that I had into practice for the rear hanger for this exhaust, and I think it should end up working out pretty well. So what I did is used this bar that goes across the top of the tip section. This is what actually ties into, or what the hangers themselves grab. And this bent bar right here is just a reinforcement bar. So the thought process behind this is if any forces are put on this bar right here trying to twist it off the top of the tip, being that it is tied into this bent bar and welded to the muffler case, it's trying to rip the whole muffler case off of the muffler, and it will be much less likely to fracture or break or anything like that with more surface area of weld applied to it. So I think it should work out pretty well. If it doesn't, then whatever. I can buy another muffler or repair this one and come up with a better idea. But at this point, the muffler is ready to be hung, or it's ready to go in the car, and we are now ready to build the linking piece between the midpipe and the muffler. Well, since I located the muffler, now I can go ahead and figure out how to get from the end of the midpipe right here to the inlet of the muffler right over there. And I have this section of straight tubing that is not long enough, but at least gives me an idea if I'm headed in the right direction. So if I hold this tube up here, we can see that I'm in the ballpark, although the tube needs to kick a little bit towards the outside or the driver's side over where I'm standing, but the angle appears to be pretty good. So this is why it is important as you're building parts like this to kind of pre-plan, and like this little kick angle right here on the end of the midpipe gets me pretty close to where I need to be to make my way into the muffler. So I think, let's see, how do I want to do this? I guess I'll start from the flange here on the outlet of the midpipe, figure out what my little bend needs to be to get me up to where I need to be to go into the muffler, and then we can keep moving forward from there. Well, I welded not one, but two straight sections to V-bands, and these two pieces will allow me to A, finish the muffler section, and B, begin on the straight pipe section. So a little tech tip for you guys: if you're working with the same V-bands and you don't have a heat sink or a male-female assembly to clamp together, you can just clamp the two sections that need to be welded together and knock out two flange welds at once. So I believe, let's see, I'm actually marked these. This section right here is for the muffler section, and this section over here is for the straight pipe section. So I'll go ahead, undo this. I can get the muffler section marked out to where this piece matches up to the bend going into the muffler, and I can weld that, and then we move on to the straight pipe section after that. Well, the muffler section of the Mark II's exhaust is now completed. And I went ahead and built this auxiliary hanger right here. Probably kind of difficult to see, but I made this hanger bracket right here that's doubled up on, or I guess where my index finger is. So that way, again, this is all a game of increasing the amount of surface area of weld, because the more surface area of weld that you have, the stronger that something is going to be. So I doubled this up, so if the bent bar tries to break off of the mounting tab, it has to take this other section along with it, and it's much less likely to do that. Similarly, with the actual hanger itself, we have the bar that goes up and goes through the actual rubber hanger, and then an auxiliary brace right here to kind of triangulate everything, and again increase that surface area. So now that we have this muffler section completed, the most important items left to do are to lower it down onto the ground and check both aesthetics and ground clearance. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Well, this turned out better than I could have imagined. So looking at it from the rear, the muffler, the tip is nice and centered in the cutout in the bumper. It doesn't look odd, doesn't look crazy or anything like that. Ground clearance is impeccable. I mean, we have all kinds of room, even to the low point where the V-band is right there, which if I could do this over again, I would have moved it up and out a little bit just to create a little bit more clearance or a little more ground clearance, but it is what it is at this point, and most importantly, it sits high enough where it isn't going to cause any issues. Now, that slight upward and outward angle that I was talking about, it's kind of hard to see from this perspective right here, but if I try to center as best I can on the car, and let me zoom in a little bit, you can see that the muffler kind of sits, I mean, this is going to be exaggerated, but if my hand is straight to the car right now, it kicks out and it kicks up a little bit. And I just think that's a really cool look. It's what I did with the Mark IV's exhaust. And like I said earlier, it's generally what I do with JDM cars that I'm building exhausts for. So I could not be happier with the end result from this exhaust build. I can't wait to hear what it sounds like, but we are not done yet. I still have to build the straight pipe section, and I think what I'm going to do for that, since it's kind of doing the same work again, I'm going to do a talkless montage for it, so you guys don't have to sit and listen to my voice drone on anymore, and then we'll sit and talk about the end result of the whole exhaust project once that portion is completed. And just like that, the Mark II exhaust project comes to an end. So with the addition of the straight pipe option, or the straight pipe swappable section, we are now left with this, and it is a little bit close to the bumper. Obviously the car is up in the air right now, it's difficult to see, but I'll end up spacing the mounting bracket down a little bit just to give a little bit more clearance between that tube and the bumper. And there's enough play with the rest of the system to allow me to do that and not cause any issues. But that being said, I couldn't be happier with the way that this exhaust has came out, the finished product of it. It's light, which was not really the intent or not the main goal of this project, but it's made out of a special material. This should be the final exhaust for this car, as I don't really see trying to make 1,000 wheel or anything with it. And this 3-inch titanium system will be more than sufficient to do that. It will be loud with the straight pipe section. It will be quiet-ish, at least quiet enough, hopefully, with the muffler section. And above all, it's something cool, and I got to learn and do new things with it. So I can't thank the crew at Tycon enough for helping me with this project, supplying me with the materials, enabling me to bring this crazy idea that I had to life, as well as my good buddy Matt at Backyard CNC Works. Without those two companies and that collective group of people, this project would have just been something sitting in the back of my mind that would be a wish rather than something that would actually come to fruition. So although the exhaust project for the Mark II is completed at this point in time, there is still plenty left on the agenda for this car moving forward, but we will cross those bridges in the future when we come to them, because this episode in this series is a wrap at this point. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and wrap it up. So thank you guys, as always, for coming along on all these different adventures, these different journeys, building all of these parts, and doing things that I find extremely interesting and extremely satisfying, gratifying, and valuable. Your guys' support means the world to me, and I can't thank you enough for coming back week after week to see what's going on in the shop here. It warms my heart. I love you all, and I thank you so much for taking time out of your days to come and spend that time with me. So again, a huge thank you to the Tycon crew for supplying all of the tubing, the mufflers, the resonators, V-band flanges, etc., etc. My good friend Matt for helping me with the turbine outlet flange and the cylinder head flange for the header build for this thing. With the header build, Stainless Bros for supplying me with the materials, the 321 stainless tubing to make that idea come to fruition and become reality. And as I've said before, these cars and these projects, it takes a village to make them happen and to bring these ideas to reality. And I can't thank everybody who's been involved with this project enough, and I look forward to continuing to work on it into the future. But with all of that being said, and my rambling aside, that will be the end of this one. So as always, be sure to subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, check out the website for manifolds, for merch, for all things good that way, and I will see you all in the next episode.